again, everyone. I'm R.C. Bannon, and welcome to Performance Plus. Now, if you saw our last show, you'll recognize that I've returned to a very special location. It's a private 20-acre estate located in Southern California. You also know the reason we've come back here today. For those of you who may have missed the last show, the answer lies behind these barn doors. Cars, specifically vintage racing cars. So stay with us, and a little later on in the show, we'll take a look at some very famous race cars from yesteryear. Plus, Steve Evans will have an interesting report on the latest technology available to protect your car. And we'll look at some of the fastest race cars on the track today, the exciting jet cars. Looking around at some of these old race cars is an easy way to see just how far our modern-day technology has taken us. And one area of automotive performance which has really changed and improved over the years is your vehicle suspension system. For more on that, let's get to our first feature.
Traffic and road conditions today make rigorous demands on a car's suspension. Excellent handling and maneuverability are critical to safety and comfort on the road. High-performance suspensions for domestic cars have long been in demand, and now more and more sport truck owners are looking for the same kind of handling for their vehicles. Today, we've come to the high-performance suspension experts at Rancho Suspension to find out just what makes up a high-performance suspension. We talked to Rancho President Gene Shook.
On cars like the Camaro and Mustang here, the factory breeds in performance. But at Rancho, we can transform that into high performance. But you know, no matter what kind of car you drive, take a Buick Regal like this here or others, we can really breathe a lot of performance into these vehicles. We do this through our urethane components, our high-performance shocks, springs, and sway bars.
Producing high-performance suspension components begins with engineering and design. Testing and evaluating every part, not only individually, but as part of an entire suspension system. This system's approach to suspension componentry is explained by Rancho's Vice President of Engineering, Brad Moore.
At Rancho Suspension, we take the whole vehicle into account. And what we do is we make sure that the sway bars, the coil springs, the shock absorbers, and the polyurethane componentry all work together as a complete system. At Rancho, we call that the system approach. The engineers at Rancho Suspension do a lot of testing, whether it be on our computer-aided design system, in the proto shop laboratory that we have on premises, or out on the actual road. And we do that to ensure that the products that we build for you give the performance that you're looking for, and they're a lot of fun to drive. There are a couple of places on your vehicle where you can replace the old rubber bushings with polyurethane bushings. The end-links on the sway bar ends is one of these. Rancho end-link bushings are formulated with 4,000 pound per square inch polyurethane material. What that means is it takes 4,000 pounds of force to deform these bushings. You can also replace the sway bar frame mount bushings with polyurethane, and don't forget the bump stops. Also, Rancho bushings now come in a variety of different colors, so you can color coordinate your bushings to your car. The second thing you can do is install a set of high-performance struts or shock absorbers to your vehicle. What this will allow the vehicle to do is to be able to corner better traction on road surfaces, and even irregular road surfaces. It'll also give a much more secure ride and a performance-type ride to your vehicle. A lot of people say they make high-performance shock absorbers, but I don't believe anybody goes through all the engineering efforts that we do at Rancho Suspension, whether we're utilizing our shock dynamometer system or our computer-aided designs. We can ensure that our shock absorbers are the best that are available. The third step that you can do is install an anti-sway bar onto your vehicle. And by the way, it has the most dramatic seat-of-the-pants improvement that you'll notice. Let me show you the Mustang sway bar installed in the stock mounts. It fits into the lower control arm assembly, and what it's doing is just basically modifying and reading the spring input. With the Rancho sway bar assembly, we're firmly attached to the axle housing. We come up to the adjuster and notice that the bracket is attached directly to the chassis. we are directly reading chassis input into the sway bar assembly. With the competitors, the size of the sway bar is important, but not with the Rancho. What's important with Rancho is the adjustability. You can adjust the bar to any rate that your vehicle requires. The fourth thing you can do to improve your suspension is to install either the Rancho coil or leaf spring system to your vehicle, whichever it requires. We do extensive computer simulation testing and ride testing to be sure that the ride frequencies are correct for your vehicle and give the performance that you're looking for.
Today's street drivers want more than good looks and shiny accessories. They want their vehicles to perform and handle well. Our high-performance suspension systems and components can give the enthusiasts what they want: improved performance, better handling capabilities, and more fun when they drive.
Coming up next, we'll take a closer look at these vintage race cars, so stay right where you are.
Brought to you by Old Milwaukee and Old Milwaukee Light. It doesn't get any better than this.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm with Lindley Bothwell, and thanks again for inviting us out here to this great place, and this time to look at some of these race cars. What's your oldest race car that you have out here?
Well, first of all, R.C., I'd like to welcome you back to the ranch.
Thank you.
The oldest car that we have is a 1909 Benz. That was driven by Barney Oldfield, who in his day was a very, very colorful race car driver. And the unusual thing about the car is that it's narrower than one of our standard race cars. So it was harder to handle on, say, a dirt track, and it would roll a lot easier. So it was difficult to drive.
For something you don't put seatbelts in, right?
No, as you can see with these cars, you're sitting up a little high, and if you were strapped in it, it'd be about it.
So you want to get out of there.
You want to get out of there in a hurry.
Yeah.
Right.
What about this car right here? Tell us about this one.
Well, this car is a 1913 Peugeot, and it was in the Indianapolis race in 1916 and driven by Derry Aresta. And as you can see, it's a very unusual car. It has a dual overhead cam system, run by Magneto. Back in 1949, we had this car at Indianapolis, and it averaged 105 miles an hour for 5 laps. The only reason we couldn't get it any faster was that the rear end on it was light and starting to drift high going into the turns, but the car will still do around 185 to 190 miles an hour.
I noticed this car behind us. Is this actual wood? I mean, some of these have wood frames.
It does have a wooden frame on it where the seats are and the gas tank in the rear. This is a Model T Ford, very popular in its day. They used to race at Ascot. They would put either Rancho or front neck heads on them and Winfield downdraft carburetors, and these Model Ts would get out and hit 100 miles an hour without any problem at all.
Lindley, tell me about number 6. That looks interesting.
Well, number 6 is a simplex. Several things that are kind of unique about it. Number 1, leather fenders. That's so that when it was racing in mud or on dirt tracks, that the dirt didn't come back and hit the driver. It is chain driven, has a very large engine in it, 4 speeds forward. And once it got up to speed, you could roll along at 85, 95 miles an hour without any problem.
Lindley, I want to thank you for inviting us out here. I know it's a private collection and it's not open to the public, and it's really special that you invited Performance Plus out, and I thank you again.
Well, it's been a pleasure having you, and feel free to come out and join us, and anytime that you so desire.
You bet. Well, from out of the old racing days, we're rocketing into the racing action of today with some of the most exciting cars on a quarter-mile track. Roger Gustin's Jet Funny Cars.
On a quiet March morning in Memphis, Tennessee, a monster awakens from its sleep. Soon it will roar to life in a thunderous display of fire and power. This is Roger Gustin's Black & Decker Univolt jet car. Roger Gustin has spent 30 years in racing. Today, he is at the top of his profession, but his beginnings were quite humble.
I started out about as simply as you can. I started racing a 49 Chevy about 2 weeks out of high school in 1957, and just simply never took time to grow up. I was too busy with race cars. That's been 32 years ago, and I think I have the same amount of enthusiasm getting in one of these Black & Decker Univolts today as I did my 49 Chevy back in 1957. I switched to the jet-powered race cars in 1972. I set a 2-year goal for myself for a one-man campaign to, or crusade, or whatever you might want to call this, to convince the NHRA to allow us to race jets under their sanction, to develop a rules and safety standard program. We did all that, and I think today our cars here is a good example of some of the safest cars in motorsports. Now, the two Black & Decker Univolt jet-powered race cars are very similar in design, everything except the body. We use one is a Z28 Camaro body that either George Elliott or Craig Arfons drives, and the new Beretta is the one I drive. They both have JT12 Pratt Whitney jet engines built by Craig Arfons. They produce about 6,000 pounds of thrust. They weigh in a neighborhood of 1,750 to 1,800 pounds, wet, ready to race, go down the track. It's over a 3-to-1 ratio, and the Beretta has run well over 270 miles an hour several times now. When you're sitting on that starting line, looking down the track, knowing you're in control of that much power, all you have to do is step on one valve in the floor. It's going to instantly give you a blast in the back of 6,000 pounds of thrust at one time. That amounts to about 5 G's positive. That's the pressure on your body. And then as you cross the finish line down there, you deploy the parachute, shut the engine off. You've got about 4 G's negative that's trying to literally pitch you out of the car. It's a job that never gets boring and a very exciting thing to do every time I do it.
Roger is not only an accomplished racer, he is an astute businessman.
As you can very well see here with 2 race cars, 2 trucks and trailers, a crew of, I guess, overall of 8 or 10 people working on our team, both back at the shop. You look at our overall operation, it's a very expensive program. And we can't operate like this without corporate sponsorships. Fortunately, we've had good corporate sponsors now for over 20 years. And signing with Black & Decker, a tool company, is an absolute natural for us. We've been using tools. We understand good tools. We're very pro-American, and we're very fortunate to have this company. Corporate sponsors is what brought this sport to the level and the plateau, you may say, that it has reached today. I'm awful proud to have Black & Decker. It is a really all-American company. They build the best tools there is in America, and I'm real pleased to represent them. I know they build a first-class quality product, and we're trying to do a first-class quality job promoting their tools for them. We've got very much of a family team here. Phil Gustin, my older brother, is our crew chief. Bill is the team manager. My younger brother, my wife Jerry, manages the office. My daughter Valerie is our financial officer. And we've got a whole great group of people: Jim Moore, Jim Gilbert, Nathan Connors, Steve Saylor. These guys work very hard to make this program extremely successful.
Working hard involves building the jet cars from the frame up with Black & Decker's Automotive Series heavy-duty tools. The Automotive Series tools provide the high performance needed by those who are serious about their vehicle. These tools are as strong and as powerful as Roger's Black & Decker Univolt jet cars. The namesake for Roger Gustin's jet cars is the Univolt cordless tool system. The Univolt system requires only one charger for battery packs from 2.4 volts all the way up to 24 volts. And Univolt drills come in 2 power ranges, 85 or 110 watt motors. The 1/4-inch cordless ratchet will run 100 nuts on a 1-inch bolt with a single charge. It can work manually as well, making it a perfect track tool. The Bulldog electric impact wrench doesn't need a bulky compressor, and it provides 240 foot-pounds of torque. The Power Driver cordless screwdriver delivers 50% more power than conventional units. It can run 200 1-inch sheet metal screws on a single charge. Using the best tools and building the best car is the standard for the Black & Decker team. Roger Gustin is on the cutting edge of racing technology, and he takes the responsibility very seriously.
You have to take this serious. I mean, I've been doing it a long time, and I take it very serious.
There's a lot more Performance Plus coming up, so don't go away. Welcome back, everybody. You know, I just keep wandering around from barn to barn looking at these great cars, like this interesting number 9 Mercedes race car. One thing that Lindley wants to do is keep these cars looking authentic and natural. I'd say most of us would like our cars to look as close to new as possible. Well, there are a number of ways to keep our vehicles looking right. And here's Steve Evans with some news on a way to keep your car looking just great. Steve?
You know, it's no secret that all of us who really care about our cars spend a lot of time and money protecting them. We protect our cars with insurance, alarm systems, and the most important ingredient of them all, elbow grease. We wash and we wax and we buff. Well, today we're going to explore an increasingly popular way of protecting the cars we love, and we'll meet a representative of Kimberly Clark to learn some exciting news about car covers. Meet Bill Printz. Bill, welcome to Performance Plus, and thanks for bringing along these great-looking car covers.
Thanks, Steve. Good to be here. You know, if you've looked into car covers, and you obviously have, you know that there's a big difference in price, a big difference in the quality of coverage that the cover will give your car. There's also a big difference in the materials they can be made out of. I mean, you've seen them in vinyl and canvas and cotton poly and poly flannel, hundreds. Any material you can make, you can probably use it for a car cover. You can also get them in a one-size-fits-all, or like you have on this car here, one that's custom-made for the car. Now, the point I'm trying to make is that every cover is different, and it protects the car differently.
Now, this doesn't look like plastic or canvas or anything I've seen.
No, this is a new material made by Kimberly Clark. I'm sure you've heard about them. It's called Evolution 3. Evolution 3 is 4 layers thick, so it gives you, it's very tough. It's very durable, it's resistant to rips and tears. It's also helps protect the side of your car against any nicks or dings, parking lot damage that you may get, sure. But along with that, it's also very soft and supple, so that it won't harm the protection, the paint job, the wax job that you may have on your car. And one big point is that it's breathable.
Really? What do you mean by breathable?
Well, you know the way heat will build up underneath your car. It won't escape. Heat, moisture builds up on the level. If it builds up inside your car, that can cause a lot of damage. I mean, it can fade the upholstery, it can crack the dashboard, it can hurt your audio equipment, etc.
Back to that breathability thing. How can something that's 4 layers thick and doesn't let moisture in, let air back out? I don't understand that, Bill.
Well, I've got a little test that you might be interested in. It's called the bubble test. Okay. Come on over here, let me show you. Okay, Steve, this is the bubble tester. Now, wedged in between here, you can see this is a piece of the Evolution 3 material.
Right.
An air chamber down below. Up above, I'm going to have you pour some water in.
Okay, I got it right here.
Yeah.
Oops.
There we go. That's good.
Okay.
Now, take a look. You can see no water's coming through.
Not a bit.
Now, I'm going to give this a squeeze. And there goes the air.
And still no water comes through.
Yeah, exactly right. That proves the point.
Now, once you get the car cover damp, though, what then?
It's no problem. If it's damp, you just fold it up, you can put it away, it'll come out, won't rot, won't mildew, smell beautiful.
That's incredible. Well, what if you got in a dust storm, let's say, and it's all filthy dirty?
Well, if the cover gets a little soiled, you just clean it with a non-detergent cleaner, rinse it out a little bit, good as new.
Well, that proves it. Well, I'll tell you, do it again.
Well, the test really proves the breathability, and I think that's a real important factor that separates Evolution 3 from other fabrics.
You know, Bill, anytime Popular Hot Rodding Magazine is kind enough to loan me their baby, Project X, I take it back exactly the way I got it. Perfect. And this new Evolution 3 cover is really going to help.
I'll tell you, Steve, an important thing to remember whenever you're putting any cover on any car, especially one that's as pretty as this one, is make sure that the surface of the car is clean. There's no dust or grit that might cause an abrasion, might cause you to scratch the paint.
You know, this cover was custom made, and it fits perfectly, but it's brand new.
It's going to stay that way because this material won't shrink, it won't stretch. Now, you see here the way it's secure, the inside, you can't see inside the car, so a thief takes a lot of the temptation away for him to break in. And the cover itself, you're not going to lose it because it's lockable. It stays locked up because the material is so strong. Got a piece of the material here I want to show you. You can take a look at it, you can see just how soft and pliable it is, and yet it's very strong. Can't pull it apart, not going to be able to rip it apart. You try.
Okay.
Give it a good yank.
Arnold Schwarzenegger could rip this stuff.
Now, how about trying a breathability test? Go ahead and put it up, take a breath through it.
It's not a surgical mask, but you can live with it.
You know, there's another test you can do. You can throw it in the freezer for a little while. When you pull it out, it's going to be soft and pliable to almost any temperature. Steve, if anybody wants to try these tests at home, Kimberly Clark will be happy to send them a free sample of Evolution 3 fabric and a brochure full of car cover information and comparisons.
Bill, it's time to wrap this up. Any final thoughts?
Just this, Steve. Why don't you think about a car cover like an all-weather overcoat? I mean, it protects you from the elements, fits great, you can use it season after season. And don't forget to ask for Evolution 3 from Kimberly Clark.
Kind of a automotive dress for success.
Exactly.
Well, I think we've covered just about everything. Thanks for being with us.
My pleasure.
Let's cover this up.
You betcha.
He and his family were so very kind to let us come in and see their collection, especially since it's not open to the public. I'd also like to thank my partner, Steve Evans, and all the folks at Popular Hot Rodding Magazine. Oh, listen, remember, if you have any questions about today's show, you can get more information by calling 213-207-3515. Don't forget to tune in and watch Truckin' USA, hosted by my pal Ed Bruce. It's a fun show for all you truck lovers. Well, I've got to run, so this is R.C. Bannon saying, thanks for watching.